Back when season 3 of Stranger Things came out, fans instantly fell in love with Maya Hawke's spunky character. Not only was Robin a lovable person, but the viewers soon realized that Hawke was a pretty big star who, oddly, hadn't been seen before. Maya since then acted in drama flicks like Mainstream and Do Revenge, displaying her true potential in the latter. But who is this actress and what's she like in real life? Let's find out. First off, the instant stardom might be owed to the actor's blood in her. If it wasn't obvious enough from her name, her familiar features most certainly give way to her parentage. Maya Hawke's literal Hollywood royalty, being the daughter of stars Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. The now divorced couple met on the set of the 1997 sci-fi film Gattaca and welcomed their daughter the following year. In an interview with the Sydney Morning Herald, she talked about her life as a child of divorce, and that she had to move back and forth between her mother's apartment in Manhattan and her father's place in Brooklyn. However, she didn't see a problem in sharing two houses, as according to her, the dynamic between them matters more. The ultra-famous stars got divorced in 2005 after rumors of the father's cheating scandal began to rise. He eventually married the family's former nanny, Ryan Shaw Hughes, and had 3 daughters. Maya adores her younger half-sisters and values her family structure. In her opinion, her independence and freedom has helped her become a loyal and participating member of her family, and they've been hugely supportive of her. Following up, she takes after her mother. Reviewed to be Tarantino's best film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was the director's 10th piece of work, and the first one that had Maya on the cast. She played a minor role named Flower Child in the 1960s set Love Letter to Los Angeles. However, this was not their first encounter. Hawke recalled being on the set of Tarantino's Kill Bill, one of her mother's most memorable films, in a 2018 interview with Elle. During the production, the family traveled to China for 6 months, and Hawke, who was 4 years old at the time, would see her mom get the kicked out of her. Tarantino has previously referred to Uma Thurman as his muse, comparing their working relationship to that of Alfred Hitchcock and Ingrid Bergman. So it's no surprise that working with the renowned filmmaker felt like a full circle moment for her. She'd grown up around Tarantino and saw those movies come to life. While talking to Elle, she shared that they'd meant a lot to her family as she was growing up, which made the contribution even better. Most of all, she enjoyed being able to walk half a mile in her mother's shoes and experience what it must have been like for her. Moving on, the stars faced her fair share of troubles too. Earlier on in her life, the Do Revenge star was diagnosed with dyslexia and has battled with it ever since. She had faced a lot of difficulty finding the right school for her, changing multiple times. Ultimately, she'd learned to read and write despite it being a difficult process for her. As a student, she'd get by listening to audiobooks, and the first one she ever actually read was Little Women. Yes, the Louisa May Alcott classic was the first book she enjoyed reading, which is why she jumped at the chance to play the story's protagonist, Jo March. Growing up and dealing with her dyslexia, Hawke made Jo her literary idol, due to her ambition, drive, and courage to overcome any obstacles life threw at her. She was also able to relate to her clumsiness, curiosity, stubbornness, and habit of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. So, of course, when she heard of BBC's casting call, she rushed to audition for the lead role. Coincidentally, her casting as Jo provided her with a special bond with Winona Ryder, her Stranger Things co-star, who's also played the character. They shared their own experiences playing the character while appreciating the opportunity to bring someone like Jo to life. What's more, choosing between Juilliard and her career was a very difficult decision. Maya Hawke enrolled at a school designed specifically for her needs after being diagnosed with dyslexia. Having this learning disability as a child had meddled with her confidence and conviction in academic achievements. She studied at St. Anne's and then secured a coveted position at the world-renowned Juilliard School. Hawke said that she learned more in a year at Juilliard than she had in her entire life. She'd enjoyed her time there immensely, which is why it made leaving such a difficult decision. Hawke had to choose between her ideal school and her dream role when she was offered to play Jo March, and she chose the latter. Unfortunately, this meant she would never be able to return, as Juilliard has a zero-tolerance policy for work-related absences. classes. Hawke explained to the Sydney Morning Herald that she would have just taken 5 days off, and she sent them a letter pleading them to take her back, but in the end she had to deal with the consequences of her decision. Despite her love for the school, she believed leaving was the best option for her at the time, as she wanted to work and have her own place in order to move on to the next chapter of her life. Now, it took time to accept that acting was the career for her. People would believe that if your parents are as famous as Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, you'll become an actor as well, but the A-list star's firstborn was originally hesitant to follow in their footsteps. It had actually been the reason she resisted a little in the beginning, but soon she realized that it was the career for her, as it made her happiest, and she was the best at it. She considered going to college to study English at one point, but ultimately determined that nothing could compare to the rush she experienced from acting. Hawke hadn't enjoyed studying for the SATs or writing essays, but had felt extremely alive in her school's theater, and so decided that she couldn't say no to her fate any longer. When she made her debut on Stranger Things, both her mother and father voiced their delight on their Instagram profiles, given that's what supportive parents do. But according to Maya, it's a no. While on the Jenny McCarthy show, she shared that her parents are tough critics and don't shy away from telling her the truth when it comes to work or anything else for that matter. That means they genuinely loved her performance as Robin, but that's no surprise as she did extremely well. They're happy that she's created a name for herself in the profession, but she was never forced into it, and that makes it even more special. Moving on, Robin Buckley was tailor-made for Hawke. Fans of Stranger Things instantly fell for Robin Buckley, but the version of the character conceived by Matt and Ross Duffer ahead of season 3 wasn't the one who appeared on screen. Maya Hawke stated to WWD that the showrunners changed the character after getting to know her better. Maya's an energetic person on set and brings a lot of joy to work, so the brothers rewrote the character to fit more along those lines. When Hawke accepted the role, she was told that Robin was a sarcastic but down-to-earth Madonna wannabe who seemed to be unnoticeable, but Robin gradually developed into a version of Hawke. Surprisingly, the most significant moment of the character wasn't predetermined. They only decided halfway through that she'd be a lesbian, which is something Robin grew into in the latest season. The collaborative decision proved to be a good one, and it's great that the directors gave Maya the power to mold her character and turn her into the lovable lesbian icon that we know. Finally, the actress is also fond of making music, and she's pretty good at it. Although Maya's primary interest is acting, she also enjoys expressing herself through music. The 24-year-old star made her public debut in 2019, performing at New York's Rockwood Music Hall with her brand of folksy jazz. She doesn't see herself as a fantastic musician, and given the intimacy of her songs, she's been nervous about putting them out into the world. But she believes that lyrics are a great way to introduce poetry to today's people, as they're not very inclined to reading poetry itself. Music has also been an important component of Netflix's hit sci-fi series. The program merges famous 80s tracks with an original synth-laden score, and it works well for the most part, although some of the choices from season 3 were a little too on the nose. Hawke noted in a 2019 interview with Consequence of Sound that her character Robin prefers music from the past 2 decades. Her favorites ranged from Patti Smith to Bob Dylan. She also believes that Robin would have a soft spot for the Runaways and Joan Jett as a part of rock from the 60s and 70s. And that's all for this video, guys. How well did you already know Maya Hawke? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.